How a fisherman became an apostle, the shocking transformation of Peter revealed. Few knew what truly happened that night. The sea was restless, waves crashing like thunder against the boats. A fisherman stood on the shore, shrouded in shadow. His name was Simon, but most called him Peter. His hands were rough, calloused from years spent casting nets into the waters, yet tonight, they trembled with uncertainty. The moon hung low, casting eerie silver light over the chaotic sea. There was something electrifying in the air, a sense of fate lurking like a ghost in the fog. Fish swam beneath the surface, oblivious to the storm brewing within Peter's heart. He felt it, a deep rumble of doubt gnawing at him. Was this all there was to his life? The echoes of laughter from nearby fishermen fell silent. A group gathered, eyes wide with speculation. They whispered about the man who had been approaching the prophet. Stories swirled of miracles, of the blind receiving sight and the lame walking. Could this be true? Or was it merely a tale to sweep away the mundane? The boat bobbed in the waves, a wooden vessel that had carried him through countless storms. He could still smell the salt and fish, yet tonight, it felt heavy with dread. What awaited him on the other side of the dawn? A new path or another day of toil? Suddenly, a figure emerged through the mist, a man with piercing eyes and a calmness that countered the tempest around them. Peter felt a pull, a gravity he couldn't resist. "Follow me," the man said, voice like thunder on a quiet night. It wasn't just an invitation, it was a command that sliced through the air. Peter's heart raced. Could he abandon everything he knew, the nets, the routine, the safety of his life? What lay ahead was uncertain, fraught with danger and glory, a journey that could unravel the very fabric of his existence. Confusion merged with a flicker of hope. What did it mean to leave all behind? And thus hung the question in the salty air: would he take the plunge into the unknown? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As dawn began to break over the horizon, painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson, Peter stood frozen, caught in a moment between what was and what could be. The voice that resonated within him seemed to echo with the whispers of ancient prophecies and the urgent call of the sea. The tide shifted beneath him, as if urging him forward, yet his feet remained anchored to the shore, his mind whirled with questions. What would it mean to follow this stranger? The idea of casting aside the familiarity of his life was both exhilarating and frightening. All around him, the world stirred awake. The fishermen resumed their routines, oblivious to the internal tempest raging within Peter. Each splash of the waves seemed to call him, beckoning him toward a path shrouded in mystery. "Simon," the voice interrupted his reverie, bringing clarity to the chaos. The man who stood before him, the one whose presence commanded attention, had not only carried the weight of authority but also radiated an aura of deep compassion. "You are not just a fisherman, you are destined for a greater purpose. Do you not feel it tugging at your very being?" The word struck Peter like the first light of dawn breaking through darkness. Destiny. It was a word that danced on the edge of his thoughts, tantalizing yet terrifying. He looked down at his weathered hands, calloused from years of labor, and felt a stirring within, a profound yearning that stretched beyond flesh and bone. Could he be more than a fisherman? Was there indeed something sacred waiting for him in the depths of the unknown? From a distance, the calls of fellow fishermen broke through, reminders of the life he had always known. They shouted jokes, laughed at misfortunes, and shared tales of sea monsters that lurked beneath the waves. Peter's heart ached with the allure of comfort and camaraderie, yet the man before him seemed to offer something far more alluring, a promise of transformation. "Perhaps you are meant to catch more than fish," the stranger continued, an understanding gleam in his eyes. What if I told you that your nets could draw in souls hungry for light? With each word, Peter's heart surged, and he felt mystical visions of what could become. He envisioned walking among people, enveloped in hope and faith, sharing stories and healing wounds. But how can I? Peter's voice trembled, caught between aspiration and fear. I am neither wise nor learned. Who would follow me? The man smiled softly, as if the question brought him joy. It is not wisdom or learning that guides one, it is the heart's desire to serve and to love. Those who seek will find, and those who are unworthy will be made worthy. His words were like a beacon in the fog, piercing the haze of doubt shrouding Peter's mind, and then came the moment of decision. The sun crested higher, casting a warm glow over the water, igniting a fire within Peter's soul. He felt an overwhelming wave of clarity wash over him. He could not deny the pull. Anchors were meant to be raised, nets to be cast wide. With a renewed sense of courage, Peter stepped forward, the weight of his old life heavy in his heart but a spark of promise now igniting his spirit. I will follow you, he declared, the sound echoing over the water like a new mantra. As he took his first hesitant steps forward, he wondered about the journey that awaited him. What trials would test his faith? What miracles might unfold, and at what cost? The uncertainty loomed before him, vast as the ocean, and in that instant, another question emerged, lingering in the salt-kissed air. What does it truly mean to leave behind all that we know in pursuit of a calling that stirs the depths of our soul? The sun hung high over the shore, casting a golden light that seemed alive with promise. As Peter took his first steps alongside the man who had awakened something within him, he felt the solidity of the ground beneath his feet contrasted with a buoyant excitement stirring inside. This new journey was both exhilarating and terrifying, a paradox that gripped his heart tightly. They walked along the shore where the sand met the water, the waves gently lapping against their ankles. The air was thick with brine, yet it felt charged with a new aroma, one of hope and possibility. Peter glanced back one last time at his nets, a symbol of his life as a fisherman. They lay spread out, glistening in the sunlight, representing years of hard work and labor. But now, those nets felt like an anchor, holding him back from a horizon yet unseen. Come, the man said, his tone inviting but firm. There are many who await your touch, those who are lost and weary. You will find them along your path. Why me? Peter blurted out, emotions swirling within him. I am but a humble fisherman. What do I know of saving souls? He thought of the rudimentary tales he had spun around the fires at night, shared only for laughter or comfort. How could such stories translate into anything meaningful? The man paused, turning to face Peter, his gaze intense yet gentle. Do you remember the words of the prophet? It is not the wise who elevate their own, but those who are willing to humble themselves that become vessels of grace. Each person you encounter will not need a scholar, they will need a friend, a listener, a healer. Those words resonated deeply within Peter. Could his simple experiences be transformed into something sacred? He considered the times he had offered a kind word to a fellow fisherman or shared his catch with a family nearby in need. Perhaps it was in those humble moments that his purpose began to unfold. As they walked, the two men encountered a small group gathered along the shore. They were fishermen like Peter, exchanging tales and standing shoulder to shoulder, their laughter blending with the rhythm of the waves. Seeing familiar faces stirred an emotional tempest in Peter. Would he have to shun these bonds, the friendships woven through years of shared toil and hardship? To follow your calling does not require you to abandon those you love, the man assured him, as if reading his thoughts. But rather, you will learn how to love them more deeply, by showing them the light you discover within yourself. Peter's heart raced. Love, he thought, was perhaps more challenging than casting nets or leading boats. Could he even fathom what that would entail? A nagging sense of insecurity clawed at him. What if, in the pursuit of this newfound love, he lost the very people who had formed the fabric of his life? Painting a gentle smile, the man continued, consider this, every step taken in love does not diminish the strength of ties forged in the past. You will honor them as you journey toward your true purpose, just as they, in their unknowingly supportive roles, have reinforced your character thus far. They approached the gathering, and Peter could hear the mingling of stories, tales of the sea, laughter, and the occasional lament of a bad catch. The camaraderie warmed him, reigniting the flicker of belonging. Would his friends accept him if he chose a different life? Would they understand that his heart now yearned to connect in a way far deeper than simple exchanges at dawn? As they paused at the edge of the gathering, a quiet moment descended, and a sense of urgency welled up inside Peter. He had to know. What if I falter? What if I fail to reflect the love I'll discover? What if I become the very thing I fear most, a man of empty words without the depth to back them? The man looked at him with a knowing gaze, his brow forming a soft furrow. In every act of love, there lies the possibility of failure. It is the willingness to serve and uplift that matters most. Trust, Peter, as you are meant to be more than a fisherman. You are being led to be a lighthouse amidst the storm. As Peter breathed deeply, absorbing the profound weight of these words and the lively laughter surrounding him, uncertainty ignited a flicker of courage in his heart. The path ahead was accompanied by shadows of doubt, yet it seemed to twinkle with faint glimmers of potential and hope. With reflective wonder, he found himself pondering, what does it mean to embrace one's calling, and in that journey, how do we nurture the connections that once defined us while stepping into the uncharted waters of purpose? As the laughter flowed around him like the waves that kissed the shore, Peter felt the warmth of companionship mingle with the chill of uncertainty. The sun hung low in the sky, casting elongated shadows that danced lightly beneath the fisherman's feet. It struck Peter, in this moment of both joy and trepidation, that perhaps the pathway of love he was invited to traverse began here, with those he held dear. The man beside him seemed lost in thought as well. Having noticed the flicker in Peter's eyes, he turned again to address the crowd, his voice lifting above the camaraderie. My friends, he began gently, what if I told you that this humble fisherman stands on the cusp of a glorious journey? A journey that, while foreign to you now, will lead to unfathomable treasures, overflowing not with fish, but with love, hope, and healing. A murmur passed through the group, a mixture of intrigue and skepticism. Peter's heart quickened. Would they laugh? Would they jeer? Or would they encourage him? He watched their faces, some returned eager gazes, while others displayed concern. Will you walk with him? The man continued, beckoning Peter to stand closer, allowing him to absorb the gravity of the moment. Every voice matters, he emphasized, holding Peter's gaze. Each of you has your own nets to cast, your own shores to explore. The power lies within your willingness to dive into the depths of what love can mean. Peter recalled the days spent on the sea, casting nets heavy with the weight of expectations not just his own, but those of the men around him. Would they understand that he could still be a fisherman yet embrace something greater? Would they see that they could too? The man's invitation felt like a ripple in a pond. Its effects could reach far beyond the surface. A voice broke through the silence, a sturdy man with sun-kissed skin and calloused hands, the kind that had lifted nets countless times. Peter, he called, drawing the attention of the gathering back to the present. What is this journey you speak of? What makes you think you can abandon your nets for tales of love? Peter swallowed hard. It is not abandonment, he clarified, the conviction in his voice building with each word. It is an expansion of purpose. I am learning it is not just about fishing for ourselves or for profit, but for the very souls that sit in these shadows. We can all be healers even as we cast our nets. Some gazes softened, and Peter sensed a shift as they considered his words. Could this man, who once feared the prospect of leaving behind those he loved, now inspire them? Will you step out with me? He implored, as the shadows ahead loomed large yet inviting. Will you cast away the fear of what may come and dare to embrace the grace that awaits? Together, we could share our strength and lift one another into this new light. The man who had first spoken nodded, a slow smile creeping across his face. The sea does not fear the storms, for storms teach it to dance. So too, we must not fear change, we must dance upon the waves. A ripple of laughter pulsed through the crowd, softened by the sincere warmth of the moment. One by one, others felt the grounding spark of connection emerge, and voices echoed, sharing snippets of their own trials and dreams. As the skies shifted from golden to hues of soft pink and purple, Peter felt something profound deep within a vessel being filled with hope and aspiration. Yet with this burgeoning hope also came a tremor of fear. Had he spoken too soon? What if once he stepped into this calling, he lost everything familiar? It was then the man beside him leaned in, his breath warm against the cool evening air. Peter, every transformation involves shadows, moments of doubt that come as a catalyst for growth. Trust in your voice and the voices around you. Together, you will weather this storm. Peter's mind raced as whispers danced among the fishermen, blurring the lines between the life he once knew and that which was unfolding before him. His heart ached with unspoken questions. What sacrifices might come with this calling? What lessons had yet to be learned, hidden in the rippling depths of his own soul and in the hearts of those he loved? As the last embers of daylight flickered in the horizon, Peter stood amidst his friends, feeling the weight of possibility rest heavily yet warmly upon his shoulders. What would it require to embrace this new way of being? And how many souls awaited just beyond the casting of his nets, yearning for the light that he had yet to discover within himself? As the evening stars began to illuminate the vast sky, Peter found himself caught in a sea of thoughts. The laughter of his companions faded, replaced by the gentle whisper of the wind that rushed through the trees. It was a call to introspection, a moment for Peter to search the depths of his own heart. How curious, he mused silently, reflecting on the man's words. What if love truly holds the power to bind us to our purpose? He looked around at the faces of his friends. Each expression told a story of hardship, longing, and a flicker of hope, a collective tapestry woven from shared struggles. What if he could help uncover the hidden beauty of their own journeys? With renewed determination, Peter approached the man who had urged him forward. Tell me more about this journey, this love and hope you speak of, he implored, his voice steady yet laced with unanswered questions. The man smiled knowingly. Ah, to journey is to wander into the unknown, to embrace the fears that accompany your desires. It is in this space of discomfort that you will find clarity. Each step you take will lead you closer to the mysteries of your soul and the souls around you. The truth of those words resonated deeply within Peter. He realized then that embracing the unfamiliar didn't guarantee clarity, but rather an invitation to dance with uncertainty. And what if I fail? He asked, vulnerability threading through his voice. Failure is not the end, it is a teacher, the man replied, his tone gentle but firm. It shapes your understanding, grows your compassion, and strengthens your resolve. Like the fisherman returning home empty-handed, it is not the catch that defines you but the lessons learned in the depths of the sea. Peter's mind meandered back to the countless times he had returned to shore without a catch, burdened by disappointment, yet those very moments had ignited new dreams. So you mean to say that even in failure, there lies a hidden path? Exactly, the man affirmed, nodding. And often, it is amidst tragedy and heartache that transformation begins. You are being called to be a light first for yourself, and then for others. Think of the fish you seek, not as mere sustenance, but as the lives you will touch along the way. A new, gentle urgency sparked within Peter. The connections he sought to forge weren't merely physical, but spiritual, intertwined like the nets he cast into the sea. But how can I lead them, when I too stand at the precipice of uncertainty? So many questions linger, so many shadows from the depths of my past. The shadows are but reflections of your lived experience, the man responded, observing Peter with careful attention. They grant wisdom and discernment, if you learn to embrace them. Remember, it is not perfection that others seek from you, but authenticity. In your honesty lies the power to guide others through their own darkness. The weight of that understanding sat upon Peter like a mantle of purpose. He felt a swell of gratitude for these honest dialogues, realizing the profound impact they could have on those who listened. And I am not alone, we journey together, he whispered, his heart swelling with an inexplicable joy. As they stood beneath the vast night sky, Peter could feel something beginning to shift within him. The path ahead swirled with the potential of love woven with the threads of connection that stretched beyond the horizons. The same sea that had once brought him solitude now beckoned him towards communion. Each night demands a dawn, the man murmured as though reading the thoughts dancing in Peter's mind. What might you see with the rising sun? A myriad of questions lingered like constellations around him. What adventures awaited? How would he navigate the complexities of these new bonds? And what darkness would he inevitably face while striving to illuminate the hearts of those who surrounded him? As he peered into the depths of what was to come, Peter recognized the beauty of not knowing the beauty of faith, a tether between fear and promise. How does one prepare to lead amidst uncertainty, and what light can yet be discovered in the shadows we carry into the dawn? As dawn approached, a soft light began to spill across the horizon, illuminating the shores where Peter often found solace. The man, whose presence felt both comforting and unsettling, encouraged Peter to look beyond the waking world. Do you see how the light dances upon the water? Each ray is a whisper of hope, he instructed, gesturing towards the golden waves. Remember, the ocean you face is vast, but it is also filled with the potential of your dreams. Peter cast his gaze upon the swirling waters, an untouched canvas that mirrored the uncertainty in his heart. He could feel the weight of his thoughts pressing down upon him, as though the tides themselves were drawing nearer, urging him to step forth into the unknown. If I am to share this light, how can I be assured it won't extinguish quickly? His voice trembled ever so slightly, feeling the fragility of his resolve. The flame within you is nurtured by love and the truth you embrace, the man replied with wisdom that seemed to echo through time. But remember, it is also in your willingness to be vulnerable that you will inspire others. The beauty of your flame lies not solely in its brilliance but in its ability to flicker amidst the fiercest winds. Peter pondered the weight of vulnerability. The stories of his life, marked with uncertainty and regret, felt like burdens he carried. But my past, how can I turn it into a beacon for others? He questioned, unsure of how to transform his experiences into a guiding light. Your truth is your power, the man assured. Each trial is a thread in the fabric of your being. Share those threads, and the tapestry of your story will provide warmth and comfort to many. The impact of your journey resounds not just in triumph, but in the heartfelt moments of pain, discovery, and redemption. As the first rays of sunlight began to sprinkle the shore, Peter felt an awakening within. Could his struggles emerge as a source of inspiration? He looked at the sea again and recalled the moments when despair seemed overwhelming, yet hope flickered like stars in the night sky, guiding him forward. Do I not also need to find my own way first before helping others? He posed, a hint of doubt creeping in, swirling like the currents of the sea. Ah, but life is but a mosaic of shared experiences, the man answered, a gentle smile touching his lips. As you navigate your path, you will find that it is not in isolation but in connection with others that you truly uncover your purpose. Each step you take in authenticity will resonate with those who are lost, for they too seek to find their way. Peter could almost hear the distant echo of waves crashing against rocks, a metaphorical reminder of the struggles that lay ahead. How often had he felt alone in his endeavors? Yet, within this solitude, he could sense the burgeoning community longing for guidance. And how do I know that my guidance will not lead them astray? Trust is the first step toward leadership, and it begins with trust in yourself, the man replied. When your heart beats in rhythm with the love you seek to share, you will naturally draw others toward you. The warmth of the sunrise wrapped around Peter, as if cloaking him in a mantle of newfound courage and strength. The questions remained, like fishing nets cast once more into the dark waters, waiting for a pull, a sign, a whisper of clarity. If I embrace my past and step into this role, can I truly reflect the light that others need? As the sun broke free from the dark horizon, illuminating the world with brilliant colors, Peter took a deep breath. The uncertainty transformed into possibility, a canvas awaiting his brush. What if the uncharted sea of my life could harbor treasures yet unknown, and what would it mean to dive deep, to learn, and to grow amidst the very waters that once frightened me? The mysteries of his journey loomed large ahead, and within them lay unresolved questions, glimmers of hope, and the silent whispers of countless souls yet to meet his own. What truths would he uncover in the process? In the end, how does one begin to guide others when they walk a path still shrouded in uncertainty? As the sun rose higher, casting a warm glow over the gently lapping waves, Peter felt a stirring within him that he could not ignore. In the light of this new day, the man beside him, an embodiment of quiet strength and wisdom, seemed to be a living testament to the transformation that lay ahead. It was as if he were more than just a guide, he was a mirror reflecting Peter's potential, inviting him to explore depths unknown. With the scent of salt water in the air, Peter gazed out again at the sea, which now shimmered like diamonds scattered across a vast expanse. The ocean, brimming with life and mystery, mirrored the untold stories within him. What if I take that first step, he mused aloud, only to find that I am not enough? What if I falter, and those I seek to uplift fall back into darkness? The man turned his gaze to Peter, his eyes bright with understanding. The essence of leading is not in never stumbling, but in embracing each fall as a lesson. He paused, letting the tide wash ashore with a comforting rhythm before continuing. Even the fiercest storms gradually yield to calm. It is within those tempests that one learns to navigate. A thought sparked in Peter's mind, the stories of fishermen weathering storms, tales told around flickering fires, of courage found in the face of adversity. Yet, I fear that my storms have left me cracked and unsteady. How can I guide others when I still have waves crashing within? With a gentle smile, the man replied, "It is in the cracks that light enters." His words floated towards Peter, an echo of grace. A story marked by trials does not diminish your worth but rather increases the light that can spill forth from it. People find strength in vulnerability. When they see your struggles, they are reminded they are not alone. Peter contemplated this. The idea of his imperfections as gateways to greater connections began to take root in his heart. If I truly embrace this my story, my scars, what will it reveal of me? It will reveal a truth that is uniquely yours, the man said, looking deeply into Peter's eyes. It is this truth that will resonate. Remember, there is no singular way to be a beacon, the light can appear in myriad forms. Yours may shine from an honest heart that dares to share. But doubt still threatened to tether him. And if my voice falters, if I am not heard? What then? His heart raced at the prospect of vulnerability, standing at the precipice of a new calling. Even the whisper of a shell upon the shore can hold great wisdom, the man reminded him softly. And in the chorus of voices, even the faintest can harmonize beautifully. Trust that as you begin to share, the sea will join in your song, the tides will carry your voice further than you can imagine. Feeling the warm sun on his back, Peter started to envision gatherings by the shore, where he could share his experiences, weaving them into the fabric of collective stories filled with struggle and triumph. But how do I begin this sharing? He wondered aloud, still searching for a concrete path forward. Begin with one, the man suggested. Share your light with one soul, show them your truth, and let it resonate. For every heart touched inspires another, and the ripples will expand from there. Peter's heart beat a little faster. The thought of approaching even one person carried weight, a blend of excitement and fear. Could it really be that simple? Simple, yes, the man confirmed, yet profound. There is beauty in simplicity, in connection born from honesty. As you speak your truth, you may find others are eager to share theirs in return. Together, you can weave a richer tapestry of hope. As the warmth of the morning enveloped them both, Peter realized he stood at a crucial threshold. Each decision forward would shape the men and women awaiting a guiding light. He gazed out once more at the waves, contemplating the immense ocean of possibility that lay ahead. What if my truth opens doors I never knew existed? What treasures could emerge from sharing my journey with others? In that moment, a tender feeling curled into his chest, a mixture of fear and exhilaration. But he still wondered, could he summon enough courage to step beyond the familiar shores of his life, to reveal himself to others and become more than just a fisherman, but a voice filled with purpose? As the sun dipped low, painting the sky in hues of purple and orange, Peter lingered at the water's edge, contemplating the depths of the conversation. The tides lapped gently at his feet, and he wrestled with the profound implications of the man's words. The sea before him was an endless expanse, just as the journey toward becoming a guide for others seemed infinite and daunting, yet, the desire to share his story pulsed within him like the ebbing waves. What if the currents of my past define me more than I wish? Peter pondered, his heart a fluttering bird behind the bars of uncertainty. What if my burdens are too heavy to bear, a weight that keeps me anchored rather than allowing me to rise? The man beside him nodded, deep in thought. Every burden can be transformed, Peter. What you perceive as an anchor may also be your anchor of hope. It is only by releasing your fears that you can lift those who are struggling in the same stormy seas. Peter closed his eyes, the wind whispering promises of change. He thought of the days on the boat, hauling the nets alongside his brothers, laughter sparkling above the work and sweat. Yet, those days were also filled with unshed tears and unspoken fears. How do I share pieces of myself while also keeping my heart safe? Trust is born from vulnerability, the man responded, his voice a calm lighthouse in the gathering dusk. It begins with understanding that sharing your deepest fears offers others the same freedom. This is where true connection resides, with the acknowledgement of our human frailty. Peter's brow furrowed, wrestling with the complexity of it all. But I fear being dismissed or worse, misunderstood. What if my truth is not enough to illuminate another's journey? The man turned, the faint light of evening casting a glow that accentuated the warmth in his expression. Trust that your truth is a thread in the fabric of humanity. Each person you touch carries their own unique story. When woven together, these threads create a tapestry of resilience that can reflect the glory of what it means to be alive and striving. The analogy struck Peter deeply, igniting a spark in his heart. So it is not only my voice that matters, but the collective echo that arises when we share together? Precisely, the man replied. When you speak your truth, you invite others to do the same. This becomes a communion of souls, where hearts are opened and healing begins. Your story may be the beacon that guides another to shore. As twinkling stars peppered the night sky, illuminating the sacred dark, Peter felt a renewed sense of purpose unfurling within him. If only I could summon the courage to take that first step, he thought, an image of standing before a community taking root in his mind. His heart was heavy with more realizations. The worry that had enveloped him began to dissipate, leaving a stirring hope. But what if that step leads me into greater storms? What if the very act of sharing reveals more conflict, more struggle? Every step forward is steeped in uncertainty, like a fisherman casting nets into the ocean, never knowing what may come back. The man's voice held a soothing timbre in the darkness. It takes faith to journey through. Consider this: perhaps your greatest storms will not drown you but instead wash you ashore to new understandings. Each wave that crashes can erode the worry and sculpt resilience. Peter stared at the shimmering water, contemplating the invitation of the tides. What awaited him in those depths? The vast unknown loomed, filled with both fear and alluring promise. Is the risk worth the potential for transformation? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper, swallowed by the whispering wind. Transformation is hidden in the act of showing up, dear Peter. Every response to fear can birth something extraordinary. Do not fear the waves. Instead, feel the current carry you toward your destiny. As they stood there, the night deepening around them, the flickering stars above seemed to nod approvingly, imbued with their own stories of struggle and hope. Peter could almost hear their echoes urging him forward. He turned to the man beside him with a heart full of questions. If I journey into this unknown, one small step at a time, how will I recognize the moments where my truth is shining enough to guide others? The man smiled knowingly, his eyes reflecting the stars. You will know because it will resonate in your heart. Each connection, each softening of the spirit, each flicker of understanding will remind you of the road not just traveled, but shared. Remember, Peter, a single flame can light a darkened path. As the ocean waves rolled toward the shore, they sang a melody of endless possibilities. The question lingered in the air: could he walk through the uncertainties, trusting that each voice, when joined, created a song worth singing? The night wrapped around them like a quilt, the chill in the air mingling with the warmth of the conversation. Peter stood, his heart a torrent of hope and trepidation, staring out into the sea while the man beside him appeared to gaze even deeper, as if into realms beyond sight. As they breathed in the salty air, a somber silence fell. Peter felt drawn to the man's stillness, wondering what ancient wisdom lay behind that gaze. The stars twinkled above, and for a fleeting moment, time seemed to pause, inviting them to reflect. "What lies in the depths of this water?" Peter ventured. "What stories have been whispered among the waves, stories that remain untold?" The man's lips curled slightly, a hint of a smile breaking the gravity of the moment. "The sea is a keeper of secrets, dear Peter, of joy and sorrow, of lost journeys and rediscovered dreams. It has embraced many who sought refuge from storms, and in its vastness, it holds echoes of every voice that has ever dared to seek its depths. What do you sense in its depths for me?" Peter questioned, the urgency in his voice revealing how much he wanted guidance. "Your journey is only just beginning," the man responded, his voice steady and rich. "The waves of your past may crash around you, but the tide also carries the promise of new beginnings. In remnants of what has been, lie seeds of what may yet grow. Listen closely, the sea speaks in metaphors, whispering truths to those brave enough to hear." Peter's mind raced with the possibilities, pondering how the waves might carry not just his fears, but fragments of his identity too. "How can I find courage in what has been so dark and tumultuous?" he asked, vulnerable under the vastness of the open sky. "Courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to press forward despite it," the man replied. "You are like the fisherman casting his nets, uncertain of the catch but resolute in the effort. It is through the act of moving forward that you discover treasures hidden beneath the surface." At that moment, a sudden gust of wind swept through, making the waves dance against the shore, and Peter felt a thrill electrifying his spine. What if my past is nothing more than the ocean's sediment layers of experience that, if uncovered, reveal pearls? How do I draw from that? Gently, Peter. Approach your memories as though they were shells washed ashore. Some may be shards, sharp and jagged, but others might reveal unexpected beauty when held to the light. The man gestured towards the turbulent water. "The sea is both creator and destroyer, it erodes and simultaneously shapes. So too will you find yourself transformed in the process of re-exploration and sharing." Peter nodded, the metaphor resonating within him. Drawing strength from the conversation, he looked toward the horizon, the line where sea met sky, a boundary that both separated and connected, just as his fears and hopes were intertwined. What will the future hold if I choose to explore that transformation? What will I become? Belief is a pathway to becoming, the man said softly. To believe your story will anchor others, that it holds value within the tapestry of their experiences, is to embrace your divine calling. When a soul bears witness to another's truth, the alchemy unfolds. An eager curiosity bubbled in Peter's heart. But how do I navigate the uncertainty of such a journey? What if my voice trembles, or the truths I offer feel inadequate? The man's brow furrowed in consideration. Embrace your imperfection, Peter. It is in the humble admitting of struggle that genuine connection arises. Each stumble, each falter becomes a heartbeat in the symphony of life. Recall the fisherman. He does not toss his net without fear but casts it with the hope of discovery. As the stars brightened, twinkling like distant promises, Peter felt more resolute yet equally aware of the churning tides within. If I take these steps forward, will what I share truly resonate? Will it be enough to guide others along similar paths? Your journey may ignite a spark where darkness once lay, the man assured him. What is required now is trust, trust in your experiences, trust in your voice, and trust that by stepping into the waters, you will not drown, but rather learn to swim. The night deepened around them, and the symphony of nature played on. Peter stood there, the enormity of his contemplation juxtaposed with the yearning in his heart. Was he ready to place his trust in the unknown? Could he find strength in his vulnerabilities, crafting pathways through the murky depths of his own story, with the gentle crashing of waves echoing his heartbeat? He wondered, could the act of stepping into his truth truly bring not just change to his own life but to the lives of others waiting to be guided? As the dawn broke with ethereal light illuminating the horizon, Peter stood at the edge of the shore, the salty breeze tousling his hair and filling his lungs with hope. The man beside him, the one who had awakened a fire within, remained ever present, a calming force amid the uncertainties that ebbed and flowed around Peter's heart. "Today is a gift," the man said softly, gazing at the rising sun that painted the sky in brilliant hues. "It is your chance to begin anew, to cast aside the weight of fear and embrace the purpose that awaits you in the depths of this day." With the warmth of the sun enveloping him, a profound realization washed over Peter. The journey to share his story, to connect authentically with others, was not merely about him leading or guiding, it was about heralding the unity that could rise from the shared experience of being human. It was the essence of togetherness, the vulnerability that every heart held, connected by the threads of struggle and triumph. "Oh, how often I feared the tides of my past," Peter admitted, his voice steadier now, each word a step towards liberation. "Each mistake, each regret seemed like an anchor, weighing me down. Yet now, it is becoming clear that these very scars could be my greatest tools. They could spark something powerful in others, illuminating the way through their own darkness." The man nodded, a knowing smile playing upon his lips. "Indeed, it is in the embrace of your own story, even with its harsh realities and bittersweet lessons, that others will find their own reflections. Your honesty can become their lighthouse in the fog." Peter took a deep breath, allowing hope to surge forth like the waves crashing gently against the shore. "So I am not to lead them from a place of perfection, but rather from a heart that dares to be authentic?" "Exactly," the man affirmed. "When you step forth, your authenticity will resonate more deeply than any polished facade. The heart recognizes what it seeks: courage, honesty, love. By sharing the fullness of your journey, you will show others the beauty of embracing their own." With this, Peter felt a tremendous lightness. The burdens once weighing upon his shoulders began to dissolve in the warmth of wisdom. The path forward no longer felt daunting, it was an invitation to share, embracing vulnerability and draw close to those who stood at similar crossroads. What if the first voice I encounter, what if their wounds are too deep? How can I ensure that my light reaches them? Peter pondered, the serenity of the morning wafting around him. The man turned, the gentle intensity within his eyes meeting Peter's. "Remember, you will not be alone. The whisper of your story will resonate, reminding others that they, too, are intrinsically connected. You are not solely a fisherman of fish, Peter, you are becoming a fisherman of souls." As the reality of this sank in, Peter felt a rush of clarity. His journey was not meant to isolate him, it was meant to weave him into the tapestry of many lives. Each thread he shared would contribute to a far greater narrative, a collective healing waiting to emerge, person by person. "I see now," he murmured almost to himself. "It is not about casting nets with an expectation of a single catch. It is the act of casting them that cultivates faith, a faith that every trawl deepens connections, unearthing treasures abundant in unexpected places." "Yes," the man replied, the light of the rising sun reflecting vibrantly in his eyes. "Trust that your journey, trials, and triumphs are the very currents that will guide others, illuminating paths of healing that ripen in the wake of deep shared understanding." An overwhelming sense of gratitude swept over Peter as he recognized the beautiful symmetry of this truth. Each of their stories would flow together, bear witness to sorrow, and celebrate the extraordinary transformations born from embracing love, hope, and redemption. With dawn casting brilliance upon the waves, Peter felt compelled to take action. "Will you walk with me? Will you help me meet those who might need this light?" he asked, a renewed fervor coursing through him. "I will walk beside you," the man affirmed, a steady warmth radiating between them. "But be aware, the journey will require courage, faith, and humility. There will be storms, as well as calm waters. You will falter, and you will feel doubt. Yet, each ebb will teach you to flow." "I am ready," Peter declared, a fierce determination pulsing within him. "Let us begin this journey towards hearts so desperate for connection and healing. I will step forth, casting my nets wide." As the sun climbed higher, bathing the shore in golden light, Peter felt the remnants of his past settle gently within him, transformed from burdens into treasures, no longer shackled but liberated. They were part of the fabric of who he was, woven into the canvas of an emerging story, a story that yearned to be shared. The two men set forth along the coastline, leaving the familiar shores of doubt behind. Each step was laced with hope, sparking the belief that together they could reach the longing spirits who resided just between the whispers of the sea, a chorus awaiting the very echo of faith and love. And in that moment of stunning revelation, Peter understood that he was embarking on the most significant journey of all, not just to share his story, but to awaken hearts to the truth that love could rewrite what once felt broken, leading every soul toward the light that could not be extinguished. For like the ocean, overflowing with untold stories and hidden depths, every life contains the potential to illuminate, inspire, and transform, a profound beauty forever waiting to unfurl, wave upon wave.